Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Unstoppable Marketer Podcast. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mark Goldhart. Mark Goldhart, how are you doing?
Great. Great to be here. Excited.
Yeah. We're in a little bit of a different setup, so I'm used to you being right here.
Got some nice
or right here.
foliage.
Fern.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing good.
Good week? Good weekend? How was Mother's Day?
Well, the weekend was crazy. We had that Aurora Borealis event.
What is that?
The nice solar storm that happened, the Northern Lights. You weren't aware?
Like you saw it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Barely.
Oh, I didn't see it. Oh, I saw a friend of ours in Oregon post about it.
Yeah, if you went to the mountains, you could see them.
Okay, cool.
I didn't go far enough to see them great, so I didn't.
You should have gone up to your cabin.
I should have, but... And then all the kids were acting crazy all weekend, and I'm pretty sure...
Because of the lights?
There was a little extra electricity in the air.
Got them a little riled up?
Got them a little...
Were they good for your wife for Mother's Day, though?
No, not at all. No, they were... I mean, they're sweet in the morning, but then they were just grumpy all day and mad, and like they wouldn't go to sleep. Like, it was weird. It's just
interesting.
There was some weird juju in the air. Literally.
Yeah. Electricity juju.
Yeah, man. But have you ever thought about, like, when you look up at the night sky, that all those stars could be dead and we wouldn't know?
I've never thought about that in my life.
Never.
Never.
Think about it, like,
Not
every
once.
time I go camping. Like, man, all these stars could be dead. And we wouldn't know for, like, hundreds of years.
Well, because isn't the light from the star or the sun reflection?
The what?
You're saying these stars are dead.
Yeah, because they're light years away, right? They're
Right.
hundreds of light
Yeah.
years away, and so you wouldn't know if it died for hundreds of years. Unless you could, like, measure the gravitational waves, which apparently they're starting to, but
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
it's kind of freaky that we could be all alone in the universe. The last star.
The last living
sun.
star.
Yeah,
Well, the sun.
the
Either
sun,
two, you know.
which is a star, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I'm excited for today's episode.
Me too.
We've got
We're going to learn some things.
what we always do, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not always.
I think we will today, for sure.
I think we will.
Yeah. Well, let's introduce our guest, yeah?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, this is, we got Lindsay White, right?
Yeah.
How are you, Lindsay?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good. She is the owner, founder,
CEO, all the things.
chief mother
Yeah.
of Little Milk Bar, which is a brand that empowers mothers to breastfeed.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Empowers breastfeeding
Mothers.
parents. Now
Breastfeeding
I'm confused.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
were
got
there.
it right.
We were somewhere there, right?
Yeah.
How are you? Welcome.
Good. Thanks. This is a cool space.
This is a cool
is cool.
space.
Yeah.
We really like it.
I'm
Shout
so
out to the Film
excited to
Lab.
talk all about breastfeeding to two men.
That's all we're here to talk about with you. Talking about
Well-
tips, tricks.
Two men, but we do have
Yeah.
wives that
Have all
have
breastfed.
gone on the breastfeeding journey.
Yeah.
So you know that.
Your wife is on one right now.
She
You
is
have a
currently
somewhat
on
newborn.
one.
Yeah.
You have a newborn?
No.
Oh.
No.
Under a year.
No, she just turned one
Oh, she did.
a week and a half ago. Little Anna is one,
That's exciting.
but still on that breastfeeding journey.
I consider newborns under a year still.
You do?
I do. Yeah. I know that's
Newborn
incorrect.
ends at like 4 months,
Yeah,
right?
I
And it's
agree.
just a baby.
Well, maybe it's because it's been 5 years for me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Like once they hit like 5 months, you're like, oh, that's a baby.
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
brother has a daughter. His daughter, my niece, is like, she turns one in like a week.
Yeah.
And I just always consider her like the newborn
Oh,
baby.
the newborn.
Yeah.
Until someone else in your family has a baby, then
That's
that
so
baby's
true.
the
That
newborn.
could be the case. That could
It's
be
funny
the
when you
case.
have like a toddler and you still think it's a baby, and then you see a baby and you're like, oh my gosh, I have a giant monster in my house, not a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, that's very true.
But
Yeah.
so yeah, we have experienced it from a good close vantage point, but
Is
obviously
this her
we're not
first
women.
breastfeeding journey?
Third.
Oh, third. So you have 3 kids.
3 kids,
Okay.
yeah.
We're all 3 kidsers.
Oh,
here.
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about breastfeeding.
You do?
Yes. So with my brother and sister-in-law.
Unless you're just sharing their information.
No. Well, yes and no. So we were just
HIPAA
barely.
violation.
No, not a HIPAA violation here. We were just in Orlando, and we just got off a cruise, and we were taking a bus, and they were driving us straight to Disneyland, or Disney World. Like we went from a cruise to Disney World, and our driver we were like really nervous because we had said the whole time, if we can't make it to the park before 11, it's not worth it. Because Disney World tickets are so expensive for a family of 5, right? And so it was just like, it wasn't gonna be worth it if it was there. And we were like, when I was like mapping out where we were gonna get there at like 10:30 and then have to walk and get into the park, because Disney World's massive. Like you don't just, it's not like Disneyland where you're like a taxi or a cab drops you off and you're there in like 3 minutes. Like Disney World is, you got to take a ferry or a tram. Like it's crazy, you know? And so I'm like stressed out, and our driver was missing every single turn. Like I was mapping it out, and we were kind of in this like little, like smaller bus, and my sister-in-law, my wife's husband, was sitting, me and my wife were sitting right here. And then the next row was my sister-in-law and the baby. And then my brother was sitting on the other bus seat, like same row, but between the aisle, separate seat. And the bus was one of those buses where, you know how like the driver sits lower than where you kind of have to walk up, and so the windshield was lower, and I was really wanting him to make a turn, and I couldn't tell if he was making the turn. And so I leaned forward. I gotta make sure the mic is still hearing me. I leaned forward like this to like see if he was gonna put his blinker on. And my head went right up to my sister-in-law's boob, and she was breastfeeding, and it looked like I was watching her like very, very closely. And my brother couldn't tell in this angle. So he's like, Trevor, what are you doing? And I'm like, man, just making sure this guy's turning. And then both of them just like cracked up.
That is funny.
I mean, she was like, you were like inches from my boob. And
you didn't know?
I had no idea. I was locked in on the driver. And he missed the turn.
And he still missed the turn?
Yeah. So
we made it. All that family awkwardness only to still miss the turn?
Yeah. So...
Well, tell us, Lindsay, why did you think it was necessary or important for you to start a company that empowers breastfeeding?
Because, so I have 3 kids. My daughter, Allie, is my oldest. She's 12. And when I was breastfeeding her, I didn't have any friends that was breastfeeding. I didn't know anyone that breastfed. It was the hardest dang job, and nobody ever told me. Like, I had no idea how much they fed. I didn't know if she was getting enough. I thought I was doing everything wrong. And after you have a baby, it's so, like, you feel so isolated already. Like, you have this whole new life, and you're like, I'm trying to keep this baby alive. And so it's a big feat to even just leave the house to go do things.
Sure.
So, and then throw breastfeeding on top of it, and it's even more. You're like, I need to schedule my whole day around her her feeding schedule.
Totally.
So that's what I did, because I was raised that like, you are polite, and if you're with people and you need to breastfeed, you get up and you go to a private room and you feed. And so that made it even more isolating. I breastfed her for 12 months, and I felt like I was in a dark room feeding for 12 months.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Because you're there all the time.
It's so true.
Yeah. And then you get invited to a barbecue with friends. You're like, yes, we're getting out of the house. We're going to go.
Right.
As soon as you get there, the baby's hungry. And they're like, oh, you can go feed in my room.
Yeah.
So you go feed in the room, and my husband's out enjoying himself.
Yeah, yeah.
Then by the time she's done feeding, it's over.
Sure.
And time to go.
Sure.
So when I got pregnant with my second baby, my son Coda, I made a promise to myself when I was pregnant, and I was like, I'm going to have more confidence this time around. I'm not going to let it run my life. Like, I'm just going to continue on with my life while I breastfed this baby. And it changed everything for me. I didn't have postpartum depression. I was out at a barbecue feeding and just continue on my conversation with my best friends, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
So I was feeding at my friend's wedding, and my mom came over to me and she said, do you really think you should be doing that here? Maybe you should go to the bathroom and do that. And I was like, if you had said this to me 5 years ago, I would have been mortified, like so embarrassed, gotten right up from my seat in tears, went to the bathroom and fed him, because I've done that with my daughter, fed in a dirty bathroom stall.
Yeah.
But instead, I had more confidence, so I told her, no, I'm good, thanks. And that was it. So on my drive home, I turned to my husband and I was like, Pete, I want to start a brand that's like the best friend for every mom that's breastfeeding, to just let her know her legal rights.
Yeah.
Because if I had known with my first, if a friend was like at Cheesecake Factory with me eating and I went to the bathroom to feed, instead they were like, hey, you can just feed
Stay
right
here.
here.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
That would have made a world of difference for me. So I wanted to be that best friend for everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that can be isolating depending on family situation and family culture and family norms, right? Because every family is different.
Yeah.
And every individual situation is different. But, you know, my wife, she did not experience that because her family is very
That's
open
amazing.
about it.
I love that.
A small farming community family, right? And everyone does it. It's like, it's not a big deal. You know, they just have like a towel or something.
Yeah.
And they just,
Sure.
they're always, someone's breastfeeding all the time at their house.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
8 kids, 5 daughters, and like they all have kids.
Yeah.
But she was isolated from a experience because when she started, like you said, when she started breastfeeding, it was miserable. It was incredibly painful for her. She felt like she was doing it wrong. And she couldn't relate with her family because everyone else is like, oh, it's just easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, people say it comes natural, and it may be a natural act, but it does not always come naturally. It is a learned experience between you and the baby. The baby has to learn to latch properly, and you need to learn how to get their mouth open super wide.
Right, yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, and the scary part, I remember for my wife was pretty similar. Like not everybody was like breastfeeding, but my wife was never, you know, she luckily was never.
It wasn't like a
taboo
thing. Yeah.
But I do remember like the hard thing for us was, is the baby getting enough?
That's
like
a
that was
big
hard because
one.
the bottle,
You can see exactly
you
how
know
much
exactly
they're
how
drinking.
much they're getting, but
Yeah.
like you don't know if they're getting 4 sips or
Right.
4 ounces, you know? So
And if you have a baby that's a little skinny, you're all self-conscious, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so like,
Yeah.
there's all those dynamics. So I think it's interesting, right? So you're trying to help women from an aspect of a lot of women don't have that support, a communal support of just the experience. But then also a lot of women, it's very individual how they experience it.
For sure.
Sometimes it's not
Absolutely.
naturally. It's a natural act, like you said, that doesn't come naturally,
Yeah.
which I love that. That's a great way of
that's a
saying
really
it.
good way to say it.
And so it might be painful and they think they're not doing it right.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to explain your position and how you help women overcome their individual circumstances, but also the communal aspect of coming together and helping these women.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of women want to give up after a week,
Oh, for sure.
and no one talks about it.
Including myself.
Yeah.
Well, everyone always thinks they're doing it wrong. They always think, the baby's not getting enough. And the hard thing is they're constantly eating. They're growing at the fastest rate that they'll ever grow in their whole life. That's why they're eating so much.
Yeah,
but as a mom, you're thinking, oh, it's because they're not getting enough from me.
Right.
So you worry about that. But no, like the most important thing for me when I started was creating a community. And I mean, the easiest way to do that is on social media. So Instagram was like our first hit. And it was important for me to create educational content to let parents know the normalcies of that. It is normal the baby's eating this much.
Yeah.
It's not normal for it to be painful. It may be at first, but that's because we don't have a proper latch. And so creating content around the educational aspect of everything breastfeeding, that's just really how I started. I didn't ever really post like selling content, but I would, like, my main focus since the beginning is like we do 90% educational content that helps people understand their breastfeeding journey on whatever journey you're on, because like you said, they're all different. But then people trust us and know that we're there for them.
Yeah.
And then so like when we introduce a new product, they trust that it's a product that they'll need because
Totally.
we're there for them first.
Yeah.
You know, I always say we're a community first and we sell product second. That's just how it goes.
Totally. How long were you a community before you sold?
Good question. So I actually, before the Little Milk Bar, I owned a company called Lot 801.
Okay.
It was like I sewed baby leggings and sold them on Etsy.
Okay.
So I started my Instagram there.
Got it.
And then when I started the Little Milk Bar, I introduced our like Milk Maker t-shirt, and that sold out in 24 hours. And then we doubled inventory, sold out in 48 hours. So that's when I rebranded from Lot 801 to the Little Milk Bar. So I kind of already had a community.
Cool.
It wasn't specific to breastfeeding before that though. So it was almost like immediately. We just like made that switch super early and was like, this is what we are now.
Very cool.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Follow or unfollow.
Yeah, for sure. There's a really cool, I'm not a huge fan of like bringing up books because I think people can get lost in reading books and thinking that they can be really good business leaders because of books. But there is like a famous book out there by Gary Vaynerchuk called Jab, 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 Right Hook.
I think I have that book. I haven't read it, but
and the whole premise is exactly what you said. So he said the metaphor. Is it a metaphor, right? Not a simile. I think it's. I'm looking at you because this is something you would know.
Yeah, metaphor.
Yeah, the metaphors around boxing, which is like boxers don't go out throwing haymakers 24/7. If they did, they would lose. They would get really tired, and because you're not going to land a haymaker all the time. But what they do is they jab people and they weaken, and then they hook them after they've weakened them. And so he relates that to selling. Not that's kind of like somewhat of a more aggressive way to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's what the whole book is about. It's like give,
yeah.
then ask. And that ask will be tenfold more likely to be accepted versus ask.
Well, it's basically establishing trust and then ask for a transaction.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so with that, when I first started the Little Milk Bar, it was merch. Like that was, we did Milk Maker t-shirts, Mind Your Own Tits t-shirts, all of that. And then about 3 years ago was when I introduced my first, like we call them our essential products, which is a product that we developed ourselves. It's not a t-shirt that was screen printed on.
Sure.
And that was the Alley Bra.
Yep.
And so I feel like I warmed my audience enough with the education and also the merch.
Yeah.
But then we introduced the Alley Bra named after my first daughter. And it was a bra that was meant to just be, everything that's breastfeeding is so ugly, you guys. Like it looks like your great-great-grandma would wear it. And it's got all these clasps. And some of them are fine. But when I was, after giving birth, I just wanted to like lay in bed and be comfortable. And so I wanted a bra that didn't have the snaps like on the shoulders. And so we created this bra that's to lounge in at home and feel like yourself a little bit. So when we introduced that product, I feel like it was kind of like all these years of us warming up our audience with the merch, which they loved, but like, again, 90% educational content. Then we introduced the Alley Bra and it just blew up. Like I was terrified to do this because I had to invest so much money into a product when you're developing it yourself and you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was like, hey, we're going to do this, guys. We're going to release this product. I think my minimum order quantity was like 5,000 units.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I had 3 different colors because I had 3 different colors.
And sizes.
Yes. And so
Jeez, that's a lot.
I was like, you guys, this launches tonight to like our VIP group. I'm reaching out to my customer service girls. I've got 3 girls that do it for me. And I'm like, hey, if we sell out of this product in like 6 months, I'll be happy. Like by the end of the year, like we'll be good. So it went live and we're all like watching the computers and we sold out in like 3 hours. And it was like $250,000 in 3 hours.
Jeez.
I was like, holy shit, can I swear here?
You can.
Holy shoot.
We'll mark it explicit.
You can take it off if you need to.
We'll bleep it.
But I was just like, whoa, okay. So that's when my light bulb went off of like, we really have created the best community ever.
Yeah.
And so I have so many more product ideas, not just the bra. Like there's so many things I want to do. And that was just the green light for me. Like, okay, we're ready. Let's go.
And is that still a bestseller today?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
What were the other products that subsequently followed that?
Yeah. So we did the Alley Bra, reusable nursing pads.
Okay.
And the Frankie tanks, which is just, people see it and they're like, it just is a regular tank top,
right?
Which is exactly what we wanted. We didn't want it to have the snaps because as soon as you're done breastfeeding, you throw it away.
Right.
This you can wear whenever you want and for as long as you want. But the Frankie tank is a nursing tank. And then I've got 2 more products that are coming out later this year. Oh, and the Alley shorts.
Cool.
We added like a matching bottom for postpartum.
Nice. Very cool. So what is your, like, how is your community approach and your content approach changed since because merch is so, when you're a merch brand, it's very easy to be educational because like the merch is just something that you're like biggest fans will buy from you.
Yeah.
You know, you might not necessarily run ads for it, or maybe you do, maybe you
Yeah.
did, you know. But then when you start to actually become a brand outside of merch and this community that sells, a lot of brands want to be a lot more of the hook
Yeah.
rather than the jabs. Like, how has your content strategy changed?
I feel like it's so much easier.
Really?
Yeah, and this is why. So with me from the beginning, the Little Milk Bar, we always said you don't have to buy a brand new wardrobe as a breastfeeding mom, because there's this whole nursing friendly vibe out there.
Totally.
Which is great, and some women love it. But I'm like, you can wear all the same regular clothes. It's just society is telling you can't, because
Right.
you don't want to have to lift up your shirt or
Right.
whatever. But you can. So we, from the beginning with merch, have created content around you can wear whatever you want to and still breastfeed your baby in public or at home, and this is how you do it. So when I introduced like the Alley bra, the Frankie tank, it was just an addition to that content.
Cool.
So it's like, now that we're showing you how to breastfeed in this Milk Maker t-shirt, now we just have our Frankie tank underneath with it.
Oh, cool.
Which is like called the 2-shirt method. So some women don't want like their belly hanging out or their
Sure,
back.
sure.
And so like all of our products are in complement, like it complements the merch product.
Yeah.
So it's been an easy transition, I feel
Nice.
like.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And are you still putting out a ton of that educational stuff?
Yeah.
Did that change? Like, do you find yourself putting more stuff that's salesy in that, or are you finding a way to sell within the educational
I think
content?
my idea is like, I don't want people to know they're being sold to.
Sure.
So I'm creating educational content, but I'm always wearing something of the Little Milk Bar.
Sure.
So it's like that natural, organic of like, oh, this was great information, but where'd you get that bra? A lot of people don't even know we sell the bra, but then we'll respond to it and say, you know, you can find it in our shop. Click
Yeah.
the link in profile. Or
Yeah.
a lot of people are just replying back for us now. Like our own
Totally.
customers are like, hey, they sell it. You should go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's kind of the antithesis of most of the baby industry. Because my hot take about the baby industry is 80% of the baby industry is built on selling first-time moms things that they'll never use again. It's like, you need this, and the first-time mom will buy it, and
Yeah.
then on their next kid, they won't use it.
You need the baby warmer or the baby wipe warmer
Yeah,
thing,
totally.
and like the genie
There
diaper
are a couple
bag.
things that negate that, right? Like a diaper bag will be used
It can, yeah.
oftentimes the whole time. A crib will oftentimes
A crib,
there's
sure.
a
But
car
like-
seat can be used, well, as long as the standards are still up to date. But you're right, like the changing pad.
All of the
first kid.
niceties that are supposed to
Yeah.
make your life easier often don't.
Yeah.
And you don't really end up using. Like, I think about all the stuff my wife got when we had Theo, and on the third kid we don't use
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
like anything at all.
Yeah.
Like, she just, like, obviously like clothes and diapers, but like that's pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, like a baby's not that complicated. It gets
Yeah.
not as complicated as people make you think it is,
Totally.
which is interesting because you're basically telling people the opposite, like where a lot of the industry is telling you need all of these things, right? Based off of fear tactics or based off of, oh, it's going to make your life easier,
Yeah.
but whatever their selling point is, like, you need to get all this stuff as a mom. And you're telling moms, oh, I'm just going to give you this information, and this isn't something you need, but it's nice and I like it.
Yeah.
And it's going to make your life, can make your life easier because it's cute.
Yeah.
You can breastfeed with it, but at the end of the day, you don't
Yeah.
Have to have it.
have
know.
to have something.
Yeah. People will comment and be like, well, then what do I need your shirt for? And I'm like, you don't. But if you like it,
Yeah.
you can buy it.
And then surprisingly, they like you more because you said that and they buy
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, I actually think a lot of consumers want to be sold something like in that kind of way now. Because everyone says you need everything.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of consumers out there that say, just be upfront with me.
Yeah, when you flip
Like, do
the
I need
script a
this?
little bit,
No,
yeah.
but if you like it, like, I'm not selling this because you have to have it, but like, if you like it and you like the style and it has a nice use, then
Yeah.
buy it.
Well, I went to
I'm not hiding that we're selling something.
Yeah.
just to add on to what you're saying, I went to there was a car, like a tire shop by my house, and I'm like the most, I'm the guy that doesn't trust a mechanic. I think they're always overselling me because I don't know anything about cars. So I hate going in because I'm like, I know I'm spending way too much money. But I've gone back to these guys for the past 4 years because like I went in, I needed new tires, and the first question the guy asked me was like, how long are you gonna have the car for? you know? And I'm like, I'm planning on selling it in a year. He's like, oh, let's get you the worst tires then. He's like, you don't need to spend $1,500 on tires. Let's get you out of the door with $600 worth of tires. And I'm like,
nice.
I'm going to go back, you know, because he could have sold me on $1,200 tires or whatever, and I would have just bought them because that's what I'm up against, right? I don't know any better. But when he's like, dude, these will be just fine for 8 months for you, you know, or whatever. So I agree.
Yeah.
Like,
How have you noticed that strategy has galvanized your customers to you?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's intentional.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I'm so upfront with everything that we do. I even, like, when we develop the new products, I'll video like little steps along the way to show them why we did it this way and why we think that this could be helpful, and ideas we took from like other things that we saw. And so people like feeling a part of that, but also knowing like when we did our Frankie tanks, and I'm like, it does look like a regular nursing tank or a regular tank top.
Yeah.
And if you can find one that, because a lot of the times you pull the neck and then it gets stretched out. If you can find one that does that, awesome.
Yeah.
But like, we can guarantee ours don't. So if you're on the lookout for one,
Here it is.
yeah, here it is.
This episode is brought to you today by Bestie. If you are an e-commerce store on Shopify, stop and listen up. Are you surveying your customers? Do you know how they get to your website? Do you know what marketing channel introduced them to you? Do you know what motivated them to buy? Do you know what your NPS score is if people actually like and love your products? If you don't know the answers to some of those questions or any other questions you might have for your customers, you need to start using post-purchase surveys. Bestie is the only post-purchase survey provider that utilizes AI to not only help you craft your questions, but also takes the insights that your customers give you and creates actionable insights and steps for you to make as a business to help grow and scale your company today. Bestie just lowered their prices so you can be surveying your customers for as low as $39 a month. And not only that, they have a 14-day free trial in the App Store. So go check them out right now. Test the 14-day free trial. If you happen to pay the $39 a month, you are not going to lose out on much, and you are only going to be able to gather more data around your customers to help grow and scale your businesses. We love Bestie, and we use it for every single brand we work with. Go check them out today at bestie.ai. So what I'm hearing is like, there's a couple things that I think people need to know, because what we see with a lot of brands that create content, I mean, because every brand is creating content on Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest or whatever. But if you were a brand that started in like, when did you start?
2018.
Okay. So you started after this, but like brands that started in like 2015, 16, 17, before the pay to play model hit, meaning
Organic reach was easy.
Yeah. And you could literally just
You
like post
would see everyone you followed, you would see their posts
no
pop up.
matter what, as long as you
before
were
the
on.
algorithm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you could sell, and you could literally just sell, and people would buy. It wasn't about creating content that helped other people. Like, you could just sell and sell and sell. But what happened is like that like a lot of brands have had a really hard time moving away from that. Even today, like, 6 years later, 7 years later. But what you're saying is like, hey, if I create educational content that has to do with the products that I'm selling, obviously, it's not like you're creating educational content about like best hotels to stay at or something that has nothing to do with it, right? So in the realm, and I'm super transparent, then what happens is I build trust within a group of people who like me, the things that I'm doing. And then when I introduce products, those people generally are the type of people who are going to want this type of product.
Right.
And so they're going to say, oh, I could buy on Amazon, or I could go get this shirt, or I could go get that.
Right.
But like, I'm going to.
But we're also fighting for them. So like we have a pretty large community on Instagram. I want to like 170,000 followers. I think TikTok, we might have a little bit more, but like we're very vocal. Like when we see stories in the news, we talk about it. Like we use our platform to be able to talk about those things. And so I think that builds a lot of trust too, that we're not just saying. Give me an
example of a story. I want to break this down because I think I know where you're going with it.
Well, there's a few different ones.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this one first. When I first started on Instagram, we couldn't post our content because it was against community guidelines.
Oh, okay. And is that because you were showing?
We were just a breastfeeding mom.
I think it was like considered nudity.
Probably.
Yes, it was sexual nudity content.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how do I sell a product if I can't post about it and they're taking down everything.
Yeah.
So instead of just like shutting down, I use that as momentum. So I like screenshotted everything that they weren't allowing and telling us was sexual content, but content they were allowing that actually was sexual content. And
Sure.
so I went public, posted about it on Instagram, called them out. We started a petition. We got like 30,000 parents to sign it in like a week. And so Instagram was in the process of changing their guidelines for birth with Empowered Birth Project, another account. And so we got their attention and in that process helped them change their policies
Wild.
to allow breastfeeding content. It's still a struggle. There's
Sure.
still times where our content, just the other day,
We'll get flagged by
I
the
posted,
algorithm.
I got flagged and they
Yeah.
were like, you can either take this down, which is weird. I've never got this one. You can either take it down or we're going to stop showing it to your followers. I didn't take it down, but it happens all the time. But so like doing that though, our community sees this and they're like, well, you actually are doing something about this.
Right.
You're not just complaining about
Yeah.
this. We're trying to change the world.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But the airline stories,
Yeah.
there's always an airline story. There was one recently that,
What happens on airlines?
so you like women have gotten kicked off
They'll
of
be
a plane.
breastfeeding and then somebody will complain, right?
Yes.
And
Or-
You'll get kicked out of a...
Yes.
That happens? I didn't know this.
Or they tell them that they can't. And
it
then
probably
this,
depends on like the
it depends on the
naivety
agent.
of the.
Is it the agent? Is it the country?
It's
What is
the
this?
agent.
Okay.
What does
So
agent
one
mean?
mom just is suing Delta right now because, and we covered her story when it happened a few months ago. She was refused her pump, which a pump is a medical device. So you are allowed to take that in addition to a carry-on.
Oh, cool.
And so she goes, but they would not let her take it onto the plane. They made her check it, which is not, that's not cool.
Yeah.
You don't do that. It's against the law. Anyways, so because she
Also,
couldn't
there might be some
pump,
temperature fluctuations, right? That could damage it.
no. The pump?
Like if it goes to
Oh,
check-in, like 'cause
Maybe. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
doesn't the cargo
It's like super cold,
doesn't
right?
it get a lot colder, so it could damage a medical device?
Probably.
So she gets to the other, she's flying and she's drenched in breast milk because she didn't have her baby with her and she couldn't pump. And that causes a lot of issues. You can get mastitis, like you can get infection. It's hard.
Oh yeah.
So
and
she,
mastitis is crazy.
it is.
Yeah.
She was drenched in her own breast
Oh my
milk,
gosh,
sitting
that
in
is so
her
sad.
chair, drenched because she couldn't pump. So anyways, now she's suing Delta because this happened and it's insane.
So the reason why I wanted you to share some examples is because another thing that like we've discovered as we've talked to brands who win when it comes to creating content and creating communities is they're not afraid to go after an enemy. Not that you're making airlines an enemy, but
But they will be our enemies, or they are our enemies sometimes.
sure,
But yes.
yeah, but you like when you can call somebody out
Mm-hmm.
and have good merit or reason for it, and like I said, kind of create this enemy. You what happens is the community will latch onto you.
Yeah.
Like
They're
No-
as
no pun
angry
intended.
as
yeah,
you are.
like yeah.
Or pun intended.
Nice.
I wish there was pun intended on that. I'm not clever enough for
They
puns
get a nice
like that.
secure latch.
Yeah, like when they latch securely. No, but yeah, the industry will
Yeah.
like the community latches on and says, like, she just gave me permission
Yeah.
to now speak up about this because
Yeah.
I was not willing to,
Right.
and it's really really cool to see that. Like it's like something that brings you closer together. Like it's almost like
It's emotional. Like
Totally.
the messages we get every day of women that are like, I was terrified to breastfeed in public until you posted. Like I posted a lot of different stories, but one in particular was like how to breastfeed in public when you're around family at Christmas. And if your family is like super conservative and doesn't like it,
Right.
this is how you can handle it.
Yeah.
And so we'll get like DMs like, that changed my life. Like for the first time I breastfed in public and I didn't
Nice.
go sit in my car. And it's like,
Cool.
oh my gosh, that's amazing. Or even just a mom, we get this one a lot. I was in Target and I had my cart full about to check out and my baby was hungry. So I was about to leave my cart, go to my car and go feed. But then I saw a girl turn the corner with a Milk Maker t-shirt on and it was one of ours. And so she knows that she has an ally now. So she's like, so I just walked over to her and I said, can I sit by you? And she fed and she felt comfortable enough and she knew that mom would protect her if she needed to. But that is so cool.
yeah, that's
Like
awesome.
they're creating their own connections in our
Yeah.
community. Like that's awesome.
That's so cool. What okay, so you got this
Oh,
big
and I was going to bring up not only enemy but niche. We've talked about two things, niches and enemies, and you're kind of doing both.
Yeah.
You found a niche community that you're meeting a need of theirs that hasn't been met yet. And you can usually niche comes with an enemy too, right?
Parts of it have been met.
You've been able to attack the enemies.
Right? Parts of it have been met, which is like people have created products for your community.
Yeah.
But nobody's created a voice.
No one's
for the community.
Given
That's a good point.
or let the mothers know they had a voice. So it like really angers me when we start to talk about breastfeeding brands. I'm like, how many pump brands are out there and none of them educate their customers on like their laws when they go back to work?
What a wild miss.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
It's so true. You know what a cool collaboration would be is between. Have you ever heard of the brand Honoring Motherhood?
No.
They do breast milk jewelry.
Oh yeah, I've heard of breast milk jewelry. A lot of people do that.
That'd be an interesting collaboration. But okay, so did I cut you off more? I have another question. Okay. Okay, so when you first start, the community is where you get your sales. Like you've just been building content, and that's it. What are you doing now from a marketing perspective? Tell us more about like your marketing mix. Is it only content creation? Are you running ads? Are you working with influencers? Are you?
So I've never done. I've worked with influencers, but we've never like paid someone to post. It's always been like a super organic. Like they've reached out and been like, "Hey, I'd love for you to send product," and we never like say you have to post, but 90% of the time they do, especially because packaging is our thing. Our packaging is like top notch. Everyone wants to show it.
Nice.
But content creation, I do run Facebook ads now. I want to say we've been doing Facebook ads for like 2 years now. Cool. So that's in addition to TikTok. We blew up very fast. Organically. And I got so burnt out because I was the only one ever creating the content that I stepped back from TikTok for a while. So we've kind of, we have plans to get back to that. But we've done like Facebook ads, Instagram ads. We opened up an affiliate program in September of last year that we're going to be pushing hard this year, but we had never done that before, and that's been doing well. So let me think, did I cover all of them? Yes.
Awesome. And for that affiliate stuff, are people just finding that through your like content, your website? They apply?
They apply. Yeah. I think most of the time we're reaching out to them.
Okay.
I think we're really specific on the kind of content creators we're looking for. We don't just want anyone. It's got to be someone who, has you don't, just because you're breastfeeding doesn't mean you're super passionate about it, right? So it's like we're looking for the right content creators that align with our voice. Yeah,
very smart. What's cool about when you have a brand like yours, which is like a problem solution brand, it's kind of interesting. Like what you've created is a problem solution product that is also a want. Like it's not quite a need, like what you said.
It's not. I don't know if you deem it a problem solution. But it's more of the community, and it's a way of validating. It's like
it's like a middle line, which is really, really cool because you kind of like you can feed on both the emotional and logical side of the consumer. Yeah. Right. Which is really
and people make emotional decisions, not logical ones.
Exactly.
So it allows them to emotionally purchase and then logically justify it because it might have a feature.
Yeah, totally. Which is really cool because that's what I love. What you said is like, hey, we work with influencers, but we never really paying them. That happens with a lot of brands like this, like brands that, because I say this all the time, like people don't share good things. They share what makes them look good. And you're providing all this like really valuable information, this product that solves it does in the end solve a problem. It can. And so people just like influencers, they like their entire ethos is to provide value to their audience in some way or another, whether that's fashion tips or baby tips or travel tips or whatever. And this, like, your product is something so easy for them to say, just send it to me and I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really cool when you can find that, like, I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but this like middle line product is a really cool place to see.
Yeah. Well, just going back to the community building around a niche, we've talked about this, right? The beauty of a niche is like you don't feel the volatility that other companies are feeling right now.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of companies are getting hit really hard in the last 12 months, and companies like you are not. Like you're probably seeing pretty steady growth year over
We're
year.
just assuming.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think
yes.
that is a pretty safe assumption.
It's a pretty safe assumption, right?
Yes. Yes.
Look at us.
A lot of companies aren't. Like a regular old kind of e-commerce company, there's a lot of them out there that are like their CPAs have gone way up, their cost per acquisition. They're kind of in this weird plateau phase where you're not feeling it because you have this emotional connection to a community and this niche need market that is hard to replicate too.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with the niche is that we don't know how big your business can get. And that might not be a problem. I think a lot of people view this as a problem. I don't think it's a problem because it just depends on what you want with your business, right? Like maybe you don't really care if it's $100 million business.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just trying to be a voice and that satisfies it. And then the business side's great. And so the problem with the niche is it's hard to grow past a certain point. What that point is, like, I'm not sure to say. It could be 1, 5, 10 million, 30 million. I don't know what it is, but there is usually a plateau, but every company hits a plateau anyways, right?
Right.
And so for you, have you seen that steady growth over the last 3 years, or have you seen a hit? And I'd love for you to explain what you've seen from your side so that our listeners can understand, like, hey, when you target in on a niche, whether that's for a product or for a brand or a company, however you're marketing, how it can help you stabilize your growth as well.
Yeah. So I haven't seen a big hit. We've grown year over year, like a lot.
Awesome.
Which has been great. I
Congrats.
think this last year we've grown the least amount, but it wasn't anything crazy. I mean, you're still growing,
Sure.
right? So there's nothing crazy there. But I think it's our community just, there's no other community like it on social media. There really isn't.
Yeah.
Like, I think they just trust us so much and we fight for them so much. And like, they believe in it so much, just as much as I do. Like, it's crazy the messages we get sometimes that it's like, wow, like you guys care about this as much as me. But I think because we've created so much transparency, like when we develop new products, I show them the process and this is how it came. And this is why I developed it. And this is why we did this piece of content, because the other day this uncle said something to me while I was feeding. And so many people can just relate to that, you know, and when something's relatable, it's easy to sell to. I even hate using that word.
Yeah.
I don't like feeling like I'm selling to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a crazy roller coaster. I didn't know how much we could grow. Like when we were doing the merch,
Sure.
I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I just remember thinking if I can make $2,000 a month, and like maybe pay my mortgage, then I'm going to be great, you know?
Totally,
but then it just like grew 600% after that first
Yeah.
year. And my goal was to let I was working from home with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was oh my gosh, what was he? A property manager at Hilton for like years.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember after that first year, I asked my husband, if you quit it was right during COVID and 2020, so a year and a half later, I asked him, will you quit your job? If you quit your job, because if I can grow it this much by staying home with the kids, I can't imagine what we could do if I had it full time.
Sure. Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, I'm burnt out. I'm ready.
And a
it's
perfect time for him to quit
perfect
too,
time.
right?
Yeah. During COVID, it was awful. And so
No one was going to hotels. I'll tell you that much.
they weren't.
Yeah.
So he quit and we're like, just give me 1 year and I promise I could double it. And I think that was the year we did like 600% over.
Wild.
And so he's still at home. He's still a stay-at-home dad.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's been cool.
The other thing I like about this audience, I love that we're just like breaking things down now and just talking about what we love about it. But what I love is that like the baby audience, the motherhood audience, what's really cool is you lose people every day, but you gain people every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there's people who just come in and out. So it's just this like, talk about total addressable market that technically it's shrinking because not as many people are having babies, but you're probably not seeing that, right? Because the total addressable market is still so big.
Yeah, not as many people are having babies, but the population's grown so much that I don't know if the aggregation is less or
Totally.
not.
Well, and
I'll go look at the census, but I doubt the aggregation of all babies born is less than 10 years ago.
have you heard about the Ozempic babies? You guys heard about this?
I have heard of it.
I read like an article about it the other day.
Yeah, like the two things is one, it counteracts birth control, or can counteract birth control.
Oh, is Ozempic the weight loss pill?
Yeah. So there's two things that's happening. One, it can counteract birth control. So women who have been on birth control and who,
aren't expecting it are getting pregnant.
yeah, they're getting pregnant. And 2, if your weight was at a point that
Was
you
maybe
were able to be
restricting.
sexually active without protection,
Yeah.
your weight hits a point that allows you to now have kids again.
Oh.
And so there's this like wave of, they're calling them the Ozempic baby. So there's a wave
baby
of,
boom from Ozempic.
yes.
That's
Now how
insane.
big it is, I don't know. So your business might grow a little bit more. Thank you Ozempic. Thank you Kim Kardashian
Yeah.
and Elon Musk. Is Elon Musk on it too?
I honestly have no idea who's on it.
Everyone. I think everyone is.
I heard about it. The first time I heard about Ozempic was like a week ago.
Oh, it's been a big trend for like 18 months or so. Does that sound
I don't
right?
know. I barely recently
Really?
heard about it too.
Yeah.
I know I can count on both hands people I know in my life who's
Really?
on it. And I guarantee you guys can too. If you like, it is really popular.
I'll ask around, but I come from a
People,
very,
I don't think tons of people love to admit it.
from a very like nonchalant in terms of
Yeah.
like nobody really cares or watches.
Yeah. It's a big celebrity push. Like Ozempic has been a big
Oh, the celebs are pushing it.
mass. Well,
They got contracts.
well, like it was
affiliate
just
codes.
tons of people. Tons of people were just seeing that celebrities were losing weight very quickly, and then somehow it got out. It's a medication, I think, for diabetes.
It's called Ozempic and steroids.
Yeah.
That's how celebrities do it. Everyone.
Speaking of, I've been wanting to bring this up.
Drugs.
I told
So-
you guys I have an interesting hot take-ish,
Oh, yeah.
right? And this goes into a little bit about influencers, and it goes into celebrities. So this is the time. It is kind of like shaking things up a little bit. But have you guys heard of this like the block party stuff that's happening right now on
No.
social media?
No.
Abby, have you
No
heard
idea.
of this? Abby knows what's up.
What is it?
She doesn't have a mic.
Ugh.
Come on, Abby. So the block party is so you guys know what the Met Gala is?
Yeah.
You heard of the Met Gala?
I have heard of that. Yeah.
So apparently it costs like $75,000 to get into this gala.
Yeah.
So it's 75 grand for a ticket.
Wait. They pay to go to the Met Gala?
Yes. You
Well,
pay-
it's because it's technically a fundraiser.
Is it
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's a fundraiser for
fashion or something?
the Met. Isn't the
Oh.
Met
A
A
museum?
a museum?
Yeah, maybe.
So it's invite only, but I didn't know that they had to pay.
yes.
Yes.
$75,000 a head.
Okay.
And then most of the, at least women who, because like it's all about fashion and these outfits that the people are showing off. Hence the reason why if you're on TikTok, that's all you're probably seeing right now. These people are paying like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for these dresses. And it's a one-time use dress.
They pay for those dresses? I thought they just,
A lot of them are paying for them. Yep. It's a one-time
I thought
use
the
dress
designers just threw it on
because they
them for
cut
free.
them off. They have to cut them out of it. Like they build them into it and they have to cut them out of it. So it's this one-time use. So it's like you're talking.
How do they go to the bathroom?
They don't, I guess.
What?
Yeah. I'm telling you, maybe not all of them are.
All I know about the Met Gala is it's just the Hunger Games, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
just like
Oh my gosh.
the Hunger
That's
Games
exactly
capital?
how I
So
felt.
this is what I'm talking about. Okay. So
Aren't those supposed to be the bad guys? Like, why do we think this is
Well,
the good?
listen,
Like, what is
listen.
going on?
listen to me.
They have to
Okay.
get cut out of their dress.
Like one woman, I can't remember what it is. She had like a $20,000 purse made of ice. So it was just melting the whole time. Like this is, so what's happening right now is there's this big revolt that's happening on TikTok from just regular people like us who are saying,
So they're doing a block party instead of a Met Gala.
these people are so out of touch with the world. Like right now, you've got several wars happening and people who are dying. And they're saying it's like, hey, we're all living in the same world, but on two different planets. So you got people who are dying. You got people like us who are more fortunate, who are experiencing crazy economic times here in the United States where like to pay for rent alone or gas
Well,
or
just housing.
food.
Yeah, housing
I mean,
costs
like,
have gone up dramatically.
like I'm sure you guys have felt this. Like I think our grocery bill in the last 8 months have gone up 45, 50%, you know? And so they're just saying this is how crazy and out of touch. So what's happening is all these people, like millions of views, millions and tens of millions of views of telling people to block celebrities. So they're blocking Taylor Swift and they're blocking Kim Kardashian. And
Was
they're
Taylor
losing-
Swift at the Met Gala?
No.
I don't think she was, but
She hasn't been in 7 years.
we have a
Oh,
Swiftie
we got
here.
a Swifty.
We have a Swiftie here.
Oh my gosh.
We're in the
A
presence of a
Swifty
Swiftie.
in real life. Swifty in the flesh.
Swiftie in the wild.
We've talked about Swifties a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're
talking about community building. She's built a.
So Kim Kardashian lost
very
like
loyal.
2 million followers like overnight.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, and so there's this. The reason why they're doing it is to say, hey, like these people, not women, men and women are getting paid millions and millions of dollars through endorsements.
She was also just booed at the roast.
Let's get rid of.
So.
Yeah, she was booed.
Been a bad week for Kim.
Yeah, Kim's had a rough week. Tom Brady's roast was rough. But just curious what your guys' thoughts are like on this. Like, should we be worshiping these celebrities the way that we all kind of have been for the last?
Well, of course, we should not worship celebrities.
Well, I know that that's the obvious answer. So what do you do not to? Like, what is? Well,
it's easy for me. I don't watch anything.
Well, hold up. You went and saw Dune.
Yeah, I saw Dune.
And what's the girl in Dune that is one of the main characters?
Oh yeah.
Like Zendaya. And she was at the Met Gala. She's part of this.
Yeah, it's a tough line to walk, right? Because movies are great and stories are important, right? Stories are what create cultural bonds and ties and identity, and so movies are a form of telling those stories. So movies are great. However, I think it's more of a cultural rot to the extent of the way people worship celebrities. But I don't know, like, was it better 20 years ago? I don't know. Like, it's like everyone always thinks it was better back in the day, but Frank Sinatra was practically a god. He could do whatever he wanted. So has it gotten worse now, or is it just more visible because of social media? I don't know.
That's a good question.
I think it's definitely just more visible because of social media.
Yeah.
But it is hard to see that we've got wars going on, and then they're like walking down this red carpet with these $100,000 gowns and $75,000 to pay to go.
Yeah.
And just moving on with the world.
The $20,000
like
ice
going
purse
on.
is what got me. That's pretty crazy.
Well, because back in the day, celebrities dressed extravagantly, but not
It's gone crazy now.
not to the point that they do now.
Yeah.
Right?
They're trying to make headlines now, right?
I think that's the difference. Like,
Totally.
I don't know if
so.
celebrity worship has gotten worse or not, but celebrity exuberance has gotten worse, or at least displayed in a far more extravagant way.
Social media definitely allows you to. Well, and you even just saying that you worship Kim Kardashian or Taylor Swift on social media can get you views too.
That's true.
So it may be something that you don't really feel that way.
That could be the milk bar strategy. Just call the Swifties. Send out the Swiftie signal.
They will do anything.
It's like the bat signal. You turn it on and they all just come running.
I made a comment about Taylor Swift, and keep in mind, I really like Taylor Swift. I actually legitimately do. I think that her music is great. My kids love her music. I'm a fan.
I respect her.
Yeah, and
I'm not a fan, but I respect her.
I think she is an even better businesswoman too.
Yeah,
like
she's the smartest marketing person in the world right now.
We
can all learn.
I don't disagree with you at all.
If only we could all just go date an NFL guy. You know?
However, I said that I think.
What's the next move?
However, I said that I think that was not a real relationship.
You don't think it is?
I maybe think so. I maybe think so a little bit more now.
I think people are willing to fake a lot of things, but no, I never thought it was fake.
He didn't. I thought that it was.
You're crazy.
I thought that it was, and
why would she need that?
It could have been.
I don't necessarily.
I'm not
think
saying it wasn't set up by a PR agency though, because PR agencies do set those people up.
Guys, she just got her heart broken. There's no way she's going to do that for PR.
Well, I think that sometimes it's not necessarily.
But she's the smartest marketing person in the world. Why wouldn't she?
She didn't need that. She could have still made millions and sold tons of albums.
But she got even more publicity.
She did.
But hey,
not on purpose.
I'm not saying it was. I'm saying I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that a PR agency set them up. But I don't think they were dating they weren't. She wasn't just dating to pretend.
I think that I agree with that. I was more so on the PR setup.
Yeah.
Initiation piece.
Because that does happen with celebrities all the time. That is a true thing.
But I talked about how great she was, like how much I liked her, and I posted.
But your reaction times 10 online.
I posted a clip and people went berserk, hundreds of thousands of views, berserk at me, and it was so funny. Every time they would say something, I'm like, I agree with you. She's the best. I'm like, yeah, I agree. And then nobody would ever respond back to me. I answered so many of the comments too.
But see, that block party sentiment, I think, is what the Milk Bar Lindsay is capturing on another level.
Explain what you mean.
Well, it's if you think about the extravagance of the celebrities at the Met Gala and how unrelatable it is. right? It just puts people off. It's like, dude, my groceries hurt. Like, it hurts to buy groceries, and you guys are wearing a $30,000 dress that you throw away. Like, we're just, that's not.
It really does feel like the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
It is just like that.
And we're still privileged living where we live and what we have. So I'm not trying to act like I'm.
Right.
But there's so many people out there where it has hurt tremendously the last couple of years with inflation. I mean, they're in a very bad spot. And we all know people in bad spots, and we feel it. And so then you see them. But with breastfeeding, I think there was just this kind of a status quo, right? This like elegance of like, you're not allowed to show like this part of being a mom and being a woman, which is just a natural part of being a mom and a woman, and a great part of being a mom and a woman, which is breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And I know some women can't do it, and we're not.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into all like the side conversations. So just know we understand there's other side conversations here. But in this particular situation, there's a lot of women that were like, nothing is relatable.
Yeah. Even
like, I just want to breastfeed my child and like live a normal life, but the expectation is that I have to be a robot.
Yeah.
even like other breastfeeding brands, again, it gets me so riled up. They're selling like a nursing bra.
Yeah.
And you'll go to their website.
You want to name
and
drop
like,
any of them?
No. Everybody knows who they are. I'm sure whoever's listening can
We
name
could
at
start a
least
big
5 or
fight,
6.
You know.
But you go to their website and they're selling like maybe maternity clothes. And it's not even a mother who's really pregnant. It's a
or
model
postpartum. Yeah.
with a baby bump strap on. And it's like,
and it's obvious.
why
too.
are you not showing real women?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that model is a real woman, but she's not pregnant. Or
Yeah.
they're selling postpartum clothing, and yeah, it's not a postpartum body
Model, yeah.
And everybody does look different. Some people, look different than other people, but your body's jello after you have a baby, especially a few days, and it's really hard when you go to these websites to go buy something that's supposed to be for you, and you're like, but I don't look like that.
I don't have my
That's not going to fit on me
Yeah.
and look like that. So it's
and by
hard.
the way, that's like the most, we've talked about this before, not to interject, Lindsay, but you can speak to this better than we can. The 3 months postpartum, what do you call that? The fourth trimester,
Trimester, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
is the most vulnerable
Yeah.
time in a woman's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think you feel the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like
You
even
do.
more vulnerable than when you were pregnant.
And your hormones are going
Yeah.
crazy.
Exactly.
Like you're
Yeah.
out of whack.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you like go to this website, you see this nursing bra that they're trying to sell, and they don't even show the woman's not even breastfeeding in the image. And you're like, well, then how does the bra work?
Yeah.
Does it snap down?
Yeah.
Like, do you pull it to the side? How do I use this?
Is
And
it a
for
stretch?
so
Is it a
long,
snap?
breastfeeding has been censored for even people that are selling to breastfeeding women.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid, like I will claim this. We're one of the first brands that has shown that. Like
Yeah.
when we do model searches, I don't do model searches. It's like we reach out to our community.
Totally.
If you've had a baby in the last few weeks and you want to be paid to be in our ad or our campaign, come, because
So
we
smart.
want to show. And I love it when we do that, because then so many comments when we do a release will be like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to see
Cool.
a real postpartum body that looks like mine.
Right.
Like, we
Yeah.
don't look perfectly snatched back after having a
So
baby.
there's that 2 planets.
Different world.
Same world,
Same
2
world,
planets
different
is what
planet.
you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we
Nice.
can say, or would it be 1 planet, 2 worlds?
I think either or works.
Well, 2 planets is referring to like an astronomical object. So
Yeah.
I think it would technically need to be 1 planet, 2 worlds.
I think you're right, but I think
Just-
either way works. If you want to be correct.
I just think it makes more sense.
Well, let's end on this. This has
So the
been
Met
awesome.
Gala's the motherhood brands that won't even show motherhood, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Little milk bars.
And Little Milk Bar's the block party.
Yeah. Or the block party. Who we blocking next? Drake. Diddy.
Oh, Drake's already blocked.
Are
Yeah.
we?
Kendrick Lamar, and
Like,
Drake. Are
yeah.
you guys fans?
Oh, yeah. We're watching it.
I'm not a Drake fan at all.
I'm
Are
not
you a
Drake.
Kendrick fan?
I'm not either of them that much, but I am more him than
Okay,
Drake.
Drake is not even on the same level
I'm just
as
not
Kendrick.
like into the rap scene.
I'm-
I haven't
I'm-
been for like 10 years.
I'm more
Okay.
into like 90s, early 2000 rap.
Like Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like,
Dude, all day long, man.
but
Boom, boom,
I
boom, boom.
know Kendrick is like a lyrical genius, right?
He is.
And he's a musical genius. I know Drake is too,
Drake
technically.
makes hits.
And Drake makes hits.
Drake is not a lyrical genius.
well, music genius.
He
or
makes
marketing
hits,
genius, whatever
and
you
he's
want to
great,
call
and
it.
I like his music, so
Yeah.
I'll say I'm a fan. But the fact that it's not even the same playing field.
All right. That's your hot take for the day.
Yeah,
But is
yeah.
it true? Is Drake really the things they're saying?
Yeah, Kendrick killed Drake.
Kendrick doesn't lie.
Well, I know Kendrick killed him in the battle. That's what
The question
that's
is,
what they're saying.
do
Is
you
it
think that-
true?
Drake has done the naughty things that Kendrick is suggesting.
Oh, I don't know. No, we'll never know. We'll
probably
never
won't.
know.
All right. Well,
Well,
we can end there.
we can just block them all, I guess.
It could all be PR too. It's probably
that's
all
right.
PR, just like 50 Cent and Kanye. Do you remember when their albums came out 10
yeah.
years ago and it was a huge battle, but they both got double the sales out of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they were fine. They were
Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Barbie.
Barbie. Yeah, same thing.
Barbenheimer.
Lindsay, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This is awesome. Where can people find Little Milk Bar?
thelittlemilkbar.com is our
Okay.
website. Instagram handle is the Little Milk Bar with a little underscore at the bottom because
Ugh,
it's so annoying. And then on TikTok at the Little Milk Bar.
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. Please go rate and subscribe the podcast, whether it's good or bad. We want to hear from you because we always want to make this podcast better. If you want to get in touch with me or give me any direct feedback, please go follow me and get in touch with me. I am at the Trevor Crump on both Instagram and TikTok. Thank you, and we will see you next week.